Hey, B1, how's it going?
Not too bad, and you, B2?
Okay, thanks, not bad. What's been up for you this week?
Oh, it's been an eventful week. I'd started well for me actually. I had a few nice runs. I was in Inverloch for the whole week. Weather was nice, so I had a few good runs, but yeah, then didn't finish up as well. I actually wanted to show you a little video clip, Kev, just to maybe describe the way I felt sort of come midweek this week.
Oh, excellent. I know you've given me an inkling what it's about. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing it because I have seen it before, but I can't remember.
Okay. So I don't know if the sound's going to come through here, but let me just quickly if it's not, I can describe. If the sound doesn't come through, I'll describe it. But I think you've seen it before. So let me hit the
Well,
play.
I know it's your favorite running movie, and you have forced me to watch it on numerous occasions. But not that that was a problem. It was fantastic. It's a very funny movie.
Okay. Well, let me hit the play button here. Have you got sound there, Kev?
Never finished anything in your entire life, Dennis.
All you're gonna want to do is give up.
I'm not the quitter.
That's exactly what you're gonna do, Dennis.
Boy, run away! Run away! That's what you always do! Dennis! Dennis! Dennis?
I don't believe this.
Yes! Yes! He's still going! Go on, you beautiful man! Apologies there, ladies and gentlemen, but it's really rather hard.
I'm not sure.
Oh,
I couldn't actually hear the sound, so I'm not sure if everyone will. But anyway, that's a clip from Run Fat Boy Run, where he ran a marathon and he hit the wall, and I think it's quite well done. Anyway,
yeah. What happened for you that you felt like you'd hit the wall this week?
yeah, I definitely had a feeling, and that it was completely unrunning related. Just a very quick story. Karen, my wife, and I were helping a friend down in Inverloch at his renovation. He's renovating and sort of building a home, and we were there for the day helping. He was up on a ladder, and the next thing we heard him yell out and a thud, and he'd literally fallen off roof height of a 2 meter ladder. Um, yeah, flat on his back.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was very traumatic actually, and he was clearly in a lot of pain. And anyway, I won't describe the whole what ensued, but obviously we had to get the paramedics or the ambulance out. Turns out he's fractured his vertebra and he's in hospital at the moment, still waiting for a full sort of diagnosis on what next. Hopefully he's going to make a full recovery, but not in a great way, unfortunately. And I think, yeah, for me, it was a bit of a trigger point. As I said, I was having a pretty good week, and it just suddenly made me reflect on a whole range of things, particularly how, life things can suddenly change. You can be going along, fairly well, and then suddenly something changes, as clearly did for my poor mates there, and that was hitting a wall in a big way. Yeah, and I just feel like it's made me reflect on, yeah, as much I was going along okay, I've just sort of reassessed a few things. I haven't actually run since that. I just haven't felt physically great or mentally that great either. But I know it's a wall, and I just need to do what Dennis Doyle did on that video. So I'll pick myself up for sure, and obviously hopeful that my mate makes a full recovery as well.
Yeah, Hill, that's tough. Sorry to hear it. But Yeah, maybe we'll talk about a few little strategies. I know there've been some other walls, and some of them have been running walls that we have both encountered. And I think what I like about the running wall, if you like, is that there's always a story that comes from that. It's very memorable, and you'll never forget it. And in the same way, with some of these life events, sometimes the same is true. They can get one to reflect and perhaps change course a little bit, which sometimes is a good thing. But yeah, no, sorry to hear about that.
Yeah, no, as I said, he's in good care, so hopefully he'll make a full recovery. But certainly things did change for him pretty drastically early in the week. Yeah. Anyway, Kev, why don't you tell us? We're going to talk a bit about hitting the wall, I guess more in the running context. But as you said, there's some real life parallels. I mean, we often feel like we're hitting the wall in life situations as well. But tell us about an experience when you hit the wall, or the first time you hit the wall from a running perspective.
Yeah, definitely. You'll remember it well because it was in Melbourne at the Melbourne Marathon, and I think I talk about it in my story on the website a little bit as well. But it was my first marathon, and it's certainly there was always a little bit of trepidation because in my long run prior to the event, I think I'd run a 30. I always sort of said, right, you've got to do at least 28 or 30, and I remember pulling up short of City Beach, probably about a K out, and came up a little incline, which literally was a little incline. It wasn't much at all, and I came to a grinding halt, and I was literally a K away from City Beach, and and this is my long run pre Melbourne, and anyway, I sat there and literally felt like I had nothing left, and just was sat in a heap on the side of the path, and eventually picked myself up, ran a few hundred meters, stopped again, and so on. I eventually got to the end point, that final K. But I remember how hard that was, and I thought to myself, well, at least I've got that out the way, and hopefully that doesn't happen again. And of course, on Melbourne, on race day, you and I probably arguably went out a little bit fast, and one of those life lessons, I think. But and we got to literally that sort of 28, 30K mark, and I remember exactly where it was, and all of a sudden the 3-hour or 3:30 pacer group just came from behind, and we had sort of been in front of them. And I remember just saying to you, I can't hang with these guys. There's no way. And you said, "Oh, come, let's just try." And I said, "No, you don't understand. I think I've hit the wall." And I mean, yeah, it was, it literally was just one of those moments where all of a sudden the energy's just sort of sapped out of you, and you go, how am I going to continue? And so yeah, that was my one. And we can talk a little bit more in a moment around how we sort of overcame that and what happened from that point. But what about you? Have you got any memories similar?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd say before I share mine, and I'll share it quite briefly, although it's very fresh in my mind still. I reckon the first time it happens to you, and it's normally in a big race and a marathon, is it's sort of unknown. It happened to you a bit in your training event, but the first time it happens in a race, I think, is the worst time because it's that unexpected. And so my first time, actually, the other thing I will say is, you mentioned sort of 28 to 32K, somewhere around there. And that's, it's not hitting the wall is actually not a dreamt up thing or purely a mental thing. There is actually a physiological state that you hit, and it is around that 28 to 32 kilometer mark where your body goes through, and I can't remember all the scientific reasons, but you become depleted at that point, and you go through physiological changes. And that's why often in a marathon, you don't hear about it as much in half marathons or shorter distances because you don't reach that state. But often in a marathon, you will hit that. And particularly the first time you experience it, it can be really, really bad. Similar for me, Kev. Mine was my first marathon, probably exactly 10 years ago now. It was New York. And I hit it sort of, well, 25K, I really hit my first hard point in that race. It was on a bridge coming onto Manhattan Island. I think it's 52nd Street Bridge. I didn't realize that there's a massive incline as you go up that bridge, well over a K. And I just wasn't prepared for it. I was going along well until that point, and that just sucked everything out of me. And from there, I knew it was going to be really hard work. And then I think as I got into Central Park, I had probably that was about the 35K mark. And it had been hard work. I'd probably had sort of mini walls, but then I hit the wall big time at that point. And I honestly can't remember a lot. It was a bit of a haze. I know I kept running. I know my pace dropped off to well over 6 minutes a K. But I kept running and I got across the finish line. So yeah, just at that point, it just becomes purely mental. But it wasn't a great experience, that's for sure.
Yeah, I think it becomes mental to overcome it, but you spot on with the fact that it's physical. There's no kidding around, boy. You know that you've got nothing, and so it becomes a huge mental battle to overcome that fatigue and that feeling that you can't carry on. And I must say it ended well in Melbourne as well, in that you managed to get me through those last. Well, it was quite a number of Ks. I mean, it was the best part of 10 to 12 Ks, so it was a long way. But just being able to talk or have someone to encourage you, also having, I think we later found, having a little slogan or something that you tell yourself can also be helpful. Like, I know you used it quite a lot. I think you'd come back from America using that term, which was "you got this, you got this." Yeah. And so those sorts of things can be quite powerful, and having your own little slogan to see you through those times, because it is seriously difficult. And a couple of the feelings that you have over and above, I suppose, the physical ones, are some of the things I just noted down. Was some negative self-talk, I suppose, is I can't, there's nothing left, the tank is empty, I'm never going to make this, my race is over, bang goes my goal, and what will people think? And all those things don't really help much either. And so then it becomes around, right, what are my coping strategies and how am I actually going to get through this? And but back to you, Hill.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It becomes, as we've said, it becomes completely mental at that point, unless of course you've got an injury or something like excuse me, something like that that's actually holding you back. Just gonna have a sip here. But mainly it's mental. If it's fatigue, etc., you just got to go back to all of the reasons. And that's where we spoke a couple of weeks about your why, really going back to your why you're doing this, and really wanting it, I think will help you push through that. So certainly I've found in all the big moments for me, it's when your mental strength comes to the fore, and you'll be amazed what physical barriers you can push through.
Yeah, I think the other thing that springs to mind is you might have had a particular time goal, and what you find, unfortunately, is that can be quite disheartening, because there's literally no way that you're going to be able to run at the same pace that you were running before. And if that means if you don't have enough in the bank, then clearly you're not going to meet that time goal. And that certainly happened to me on numerous occasions. And I think we spoke briefly about it, as well as having that, for Comrades, the fact that I've sort of got a secondary goal is, there's so many unknowns about Comrades, and therefore knowing that, there might be a need to adjust your goal, you've got to be okay with that as well. So I think in that instance, we were shooting for 3.5 hours. It was our first marathon. It was a pretty tall order, a tough goal to have. And the fact that we ended up, just 3 minutes over, still felt like, a decent effort, albeit it was not our first goal.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Same New York for me. I was, my stretch goal, if you like, was the 3:30 barrier as well. And as I said, I dropped those last seven Ks. I couldn't even hold on to 6 minutes a K. So I ended up finishing that in 3:41 or something like that. But, for me, just finishing it and being able to push through that wall was the getting it done on the day, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'll be happy if we can hold 6-minute Ks for Comrades Hill. I mean, that'd actually be some quite decent pace.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, Kev, I'm not sure if there was anything else you wanted to share, or
Yeah, no, very, very quickly. I mean, I think there's always just we've spoken about a few tips and ways of overcoming things. Just a couple of others. Obviously, your training is critical, and making sure for marathons that you've got the distance in the legs and the time on the feet is always critical. Another little trick I found is sometimes you end up doing all your training early morning, and the marathon might be a little bit later, and you find that the weather can be a big factor. So humidity and heat can play a big role as well. So in your training, making sure you're picking up some sessions that are in the heat or a bit more humidity can be helpful. And then obviously just running to the conditions. So you might have your time goal, and on the particular day, the conditions are very different. Maybe you're running into a wind or it is humid. You need to be prepared to change up your plan to suit those race conditions. I mentioned the positive self-talk. I love the idea of choosing for your race a particular little slogan that you use, and tell yourself that when things get hard. And then just sort of, if you do hit that wall, is trying to think about it in terms of, right, if you hit the wall and you've got 10 Ks to go, how can you actually chunk that down and create some sub goals so that each kilometer you're covering becomes a mini achievement. So just chunking it down. I always think of the park run. When I've got 5 Ks to go, I go, oh, that's only a park run. I've done that many times. That shouldn't be a worry. Hopefully that works in Comrades for me as well.
Yeah, I did try that in New York, although parkrun wasn't probably, I didn't do parkrun at that stage, but I remember thinking this is only 5 Ks to go, or whatever they're measuring miles over there. And I've got to have to say it was the longest couple of miles I've ever run in my life.
Yeah, no, it's hard. Melbourne Marathon, likewise. You'll remember the family had all come down to come watch, and thinking the best place to see him will be towards the end. You'll probably be fist pumping and celebrating, and there was none of that. Like I could barely even look at them. I was so concentrated on the road ahead and just one foot in front of the other. I don't think I've ever felt that way. And when I got to the line, I think I somehow found some energy to celebrate. But gosh, that was hard.
Yeah, well, I was running with you, Kevin. I've got to say, I mean, I know you were in pain, but you didn't look that bad. So you maybe had a bit left there.
Yeah, don't know about that.
Anyway,
but Hill, as always, I don't know if you anything further from you, but I obviously want to end with our quote if you haven't got anything further.
Yeah, no, go for it, Kev.
Okay, so talking about all the brick walls and seeing that insert of the movie. So here's a quote about brick walls. The brick walls are there to stop the people who don't want it badly enough. They are there to stop the other people. Brick walls are there for a reason. They give us a chance to show how badly we want something. So go out and smash through those brick walls, and remember they're there for others, not for you. So until next week, Hill, good luck with smashing through your brick walls, and I hope you have a better week.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Kevin. Have a good week too.
All right. See you then. Cheers.